There we
No.
go.
Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. This is your Akazaki Yahoo, and I give all praise, honor, and great esteem to the Most High Power, Yahuwah, Bahashem, Yahushua HaMashiach, and to the 12 tribes of Israel who are scattered to the four quarters of the earth. I say shalom wa baruchim, that is peace and blessings. And I cannot wait till the day that the Most High brings us back together, and we are once again 12 tribes, one family, one nation under the Most High Power, once again under one covenant. Hallelujah. I'm joined today by my esteemed Akeem. I got Ak Jibril on the line with us, and also Ak Kenaniah. Shalom, Akeem.
Hey, Shabbat Shalom, my king. Shabbat
Shalom.
Shalom, Israel.
Right. Shalom.
Hallelujah. Praise Yah. So we are going to get into Bereshit, chapter 41 and 42. All praises to the Abba. We've almost completed Bereshit, and looking forward to getting into Shemot as well. We plan on going through the whole book, Abba willing, and I'm just thankful for this experience, especially with my Akeem. It has been a barakah, and Yah willing, it will be a continual barakah. Let's go ahead and get to it here. Bear with me just a moment. Go ahead and share this on Facebook here as we get through this very lengthy chapter. And I maybe should have restarted this computer. I don't know. I might be hoping to set myself up for failure here. It is taking its time doing everything. Okay. All right. All right. All right. So it's loading up, and here we go. Here it is. It's hiding from me. All right. Salute God for that very long pause. Yeah, it may be time for me to get a new computer here. I think this one is seeing better days. All right. Bereshit, chapter 41. And we're going to start with verse 1. We can see the highlight or the headline says Pharaoh's dream. All right. So, verse 1 in chapter 41, it says, "And it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river, and behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kine and flex shed." Is that right?
Fattle shed.
Fattle shed, slick eye, fattle shed, and they fed in the meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them out of the river, ill-favored and lean-fleshed, and stood by the other kine upon the brink of the river. Verse 4. And the ill-favored and lean-fleshed kine did eat up all the 7 well-favored and fat kine. So Pharaoh awoke. Kind of. If you're familiar with this story, which I know we all are, this is a situation where the Most High is actually sending a message to Pharaoh through his dream. He's giving him basically a prophecy. The issue is that he didn't understand the prophecy and was unable to interpret it.
And you know, the heading said dream, but this is much more like a nightmare. You know, to see these cattle come up, you know, these ill-favored cattle devour some other cattle. You know, that would have been frightening, so much to the point where it wakes the Pharaoh up out of his dream.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That's a good observation. All right. Yes, indeed. All right. And I lost my place.
Ready for verse 8.
8.
Verse 8. Okay. It was okay. Verse 8. And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called the magicians of Egypt, of Mizraim, and all the wise men thereof. And Pharaoh told them his dream, but they were not that could interpret them unto Pharaoh. So he got all of his Egyptian people, his supposed to be smart people, and whatever you want to call them, the Egyptian dummies.
Right. these Egyptian priests of these false idols, you know.
Right. Yeah, kind. You know, Yeshaya brought out such a wonderful point yesterday. He said that the idols that the Egyptians served were actually the workers, the fallen ones of the Most High. So that really puts them into. That really put things in perspective for me when I was listening to that. When I was listening to him teach that, you know, your idol is my power's worker.
Indeed.
Praise God. Verse 9. Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my fault this day. Pharaoh was wroth with his servant, and put me in ward in the captain of the guard's house, both me and the chief baker. And we dreamed a dream in one night, and I and he, we dreamed each man according to the interpretation of his dream. And there was with us a young man, a Hebrew servant of the captain of the guard, and we told him, and he interpreted us our dreams. Each man according to his dream did he interpret. And it came to pass, as he interpreted to us, so it was. Me he restored unto mine office, and him he hanged. So this is the cupbearer, the butler, telling Pharaoh about Joseph for the first time, and explaining to him the workings that Joseph did when they was in the prison. Now, I don't know how much time has passed during this. I don't think it's told us how much time it passed, but last time we were in this text here, that's where exactly what we left off. Where Joseph was in the prison, and he was telling the butler he was going to be restored, and the baker that he was going to be beheaded, and that the birds would pick his flesh, and just as he said, is exactly what happened. So, kind of reiterating that in this place here, chapter 41. So, verse 14. If anybody have anything to add, please feel free to jump in.
I wanted to point out that Joseph is being summoned to interpret these dreams that have been given to Pharaoh. It wasn't summoned in these verses to interpret the dreams of the chief butler. And I'm looking at a NIV right now, and he calls him the cupbearer.
Yeah.
But obviously, Yosef, Joseph was in prison with those folks, right?
Right.
And so throughout their conversation, they were able to obtain an accurate interpretation of
Right.
the dreams from Yosef. My point being is that neither Pharaoh nor the men of his staff were children of Jacob,
No.
Abraham.
Not at
Uh,
all.
these were people outside of our flock, outside of our nation, outside of our seed line. And the
Con.
Most High is communicating with them, and not in such a way that they don't need the interpretation of one of us
Right.
Mm-hmm.
to figure it out. But the Most High is conversing with them. And I just point that out to say that, well, you know, there seems to be a notion going around that maybe Israel has a monopoly on Yah. And the ability to connect with Yah and converse with Yah is exclusively Israel's. And it's never demonstrated in our scripture. And I think it's just poetically demonstrated here that the Most High uses us as a light to the nations, but the Most High really cares about all the nations and all His creation. But ultimately, the way that He's plotted things out, we have the most pivotal role to play in terms of the evolution of humanity. But yeah, I just point that out to say, you know, Most High tells us not to despise the Egyptians. We were foreigners in the land, and some of them were people that feared Him. But I digress.
Con.
That's definitely an accurate depiction. I mean, we can read in the Torah where we are not allowed to not only abhor an Egyptian, uh, you know, we're not allowed to oppress the strangers either,
Mm-hmm.
and not, you know, do evil to them, because if they cry out to the Most High, you know, He will punish us.
Straight
So,
up, right? Right?
yes, indeed. Yes,
Right.
indeed. So, yeah, we're definitely called to be a light and to do well to all mankind. Even Shaul writes, you know, do well to all men whenever possible. I believe that's how he said it. So,
Man,
yes,
whatever.
indeed. Let's continue. Verse 14. And Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon, and he shaved himself and changed his raiment and came in unto Pharaoh. Verse number 15. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. And I have heard say of you that you can understand a dream to interpret it. Now, I want y'all to watch Joseph's answer here, because he's been put in a place to be humbled. He's been put in this position to be humbled. And I think it works. So let's see verse 16. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, it is not me. The Most High shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace.
Hallelujah.
Yes, indeed. So we can see that humility, humbling, definitely worked. And now Joseph is at a place where he's not trying to take the credit, and he's not, he's not doing the things that he used to do. Now he's, he wasn't so, earlier he was so concerned about his brothers and mother and father bowing down to him. Now he's more concerned about giving the Most High the esteem. So all
Hallelujah.
praise. Yes, indeed, all praises. Uh, verse 17. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, in my dream, behold, I stood upon the bank of the river, and behold, there came out of the river 7 kinds of uh,
Fatal shed.
fatal shed. I don't know why I can't get that word out. Fatal shed and well favored. Yeah, that's not a common term we use. uh, and they fed in a meadow, and behold, 7 other kinds came after them, poor and very ill favored, and lean flesh, such as I have never saw in all the land of Mizraim. for badness, and the lean and the ill-favored kind did eat up the first 7 fat kind. And when they had eaten them up, it could not be known that they had eaten them, but they were still ill-favored as at the beginning. So I awoke. That is wow, that is a graphic depiction.
Indeed, it's disturbing, you know. Uh,
Kind. I see, definitely. I've definitely read this before, but I guess I don't know. It's like when us going back through this, you know, the Most High is really, you know, making this vivid.
mhm. And you know,
That's
you
my great.
expect something once it devours something to, you know, in a sense, change. And you know, if it's ill
Right,
favored before, after it's gets some substance in it, you know, you would expect it to look fatter or look full.
right.
But you know, these
Look
are
full,
still
yeah,
ill favored. You know.
yeah. Kind of like you know, we had the feast. We had these couple of feasts. You know, you go in there and you eat it. You get the, you know, you get to the place where you gotta kind of
You
lean
gotta,
back with it. You know,
yeah, loosen your your
there you
belt
go.
buckle. You know.
There you go. There you go. And you know, Pharaoh said this was not the case with these jokers. You couldn't tell that they ate anything. So yeah, that would be quite disturbing. My gracious. Yeah, like I said, I don't remember this being so graphic, but yeah, I guess reading it out and you know the Most High doing His work with us, it is wow. So verse 22, and I saw in my dream, and behold, 7 ears came up in one stalk, full and good, and behold, 7 ears withered thin and blasted with the east wind, sprung up after them. It's funny he mentioned the east wind. Um, I'll go right to east of the east country. Um, you know, Arabia. When I think when I hear anything east,
Mhm.
as it pertains here. So, verse 24. And the thin ears devoured the 7 good ears, and I told this unto the magicians, but they were none that could declare it to me. And Yosef said unto Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh is one. The Most High have shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. My gracious. Verse 26. The 7 good kind are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dream is one. By 2 or 3 witnesses, let every matter be established.
Con.
Yes, indeed. Joseph knew that back then, all the way back in antiquity. He knew that.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 27. And the 7 thin and ill-favored kind that came up after the 7 that came up after them are 7 years. And the 7 empty ears, blasted with the east wind, shall be 7 years of famine. So when you get to the ears of corn being or the um, the stalks coming up with nothing on them, or the stalk with no ears in it. I guess that was what explained to him it was actually a famine. The fact that it was because ironically the Egyptians they don't eat. Oh, I don't know about now, but back then they didn't eat cow. You know that was one of their idols that they worshiped. So they didn't eat them, which is one of the things we'll get further into that. I don't think in these 2 chapters. But we'll see that later on. That it was an abomination for them to eat with the Hebrews because the Hebrews ate animals they worshipped. So that's we'll get to that. Verse 28. This is This is the thing which I spake unto Pharaoh. What the Most High is about to do, he showed unto Pharaoh. Behold, there came 7 years of great plenty throughout the land of Mizraim. And there shall arise after them 7 years of famine, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Mizraim, and the famine uh, shall consume the land. Verse 31. And the plenty shall be known in the land by reason of the famine. Oh, Salika. Verse 31. And the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of the famine following, and it shall be very grievous. Kind of, so put that in perspective. Uh, Basically, what Joseph is telling them is that you're going to have 7 years of plenty, but then you're going to have 7 years of famine, and the famine is going to be so bad that the plenty won't be remembered.
Mhm.
So it's going to be basically nothing. You think about that for just a moment. It's the high times. You kind of brush over those. They're great, but when times get low, when times get down, you remember those times. You reflect on those times. We tend to not reflect on the high times, on the good times. We had a feast and it was a good time. In the next couple of weeks, we won't even, kind of remember so much of the feast, but let it be a point in your life where you don't have food to eat or, clean clothes to put on. Yeah,
That's all that we remember,
yeah, you remember that. We remember that, for forever. We be telling people, yeah, I remember when I didn't have food or clothes.
Right.
you know, it's strange how that works, but that's the reality that mankind deals with. You remember the bad more than you do the good.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
We read verse 32 yet?
No, not yet.
I don't believe so. Please proceed. Please proceed.
Okay. Matter of fact, shall consume the land. Okay, kind. Verse 31. Or did we read?
Yeah, we read 31. We're ready for 32 now.
Ready for 32. Kind. This mouse is so sensitive sometimes. All right, 32. And for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice. It is because this thing is established by the Most High, and the Most High will shortly bring it to pass.
Oh, that's interesting. So I'm reading from what is this? My kid's Bible. It's a Zondervan Bible, and the words are different. My Bible that I'm reading from right now, it says the reason the dream was given to Pharaoh in two forms is that the matter has been firmly decided by Yah, and Yah will do it soon. Can you read the wording that you have just one more time? And this is it's just kind of important to me.
Okay, kind. Verse 32. It says, and for this, oh, I'm sorry, Salika. It says, for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice. It is because the thing is established by the Most High, and the Most High will shortly bring it to pass.
So this is what I'm picking up on. Yahasef received a dream when he was very young, and it disturbed him. He brought it to his father, freaked his father out. Don't tell your brothers about this dream. Obviously, it has a lot to do with what we're reading right now because the dream that Yahasef was detailing his rise, power, and preeminence in Egypt.
Oh, kind. Yeah, with the sheaves. Yeah.
Yeah. However, in 32, it's pointing out that the reason that the dream was given Pharaoh in two forms. And in the Bible that you're reading from, it says that the vision was double.
Right.
And that the reason for this is that the matter has been firmly decided by Yah, and Yah will do it soon. All right. So two things are jumping out at me. One, there's a particular principle which I don't think Jehoshaphat knew this when he brought his dream to Yaakov, to Jacob, and maybe he did. But there's a principle that can be utilized when interpreting dreams, which, for what it's worth, pretty much all the versions that I've read of this verse, I've not read it in this form that I'm reading it in this Zondervan Bible. So I didn't look at it this way. But it says the reason the dream was given to Pharaoh in two forms. Explain him why it was given to him in two forms. Now, when Jehoshaphat is getting his dream and the 12 stars are making, the 11 stars are making obeisance to him, I don't believe it was given to him in two forms. As a matter of fact, I don't remember a lot of instances where prophets or dreams were revealed to messengers of the Most High in the scripture, and it's actually given in two forms. However, somewhere down the line in Joseph's life, he learned, and I'm gathering that he probably learned this from his father. I don't know, but he learned that the Most High sometimes reveals dreams in two forms, and the reason that he does that is he does it explicitly when he has firmly decided a matter and he's going to accomplish it soon. And so it's showing me how knowledgeable Jehoshaphat was and how skilled he was in the practice of interpreting dreams. One, but me personally, I mean, when I was 18, and I didn't know if I should try to walk in the life or try to become a priest or anything, and I prayed to Yah to give me a dream. I begged Yah to give me a dream that night, and I'll never forget that night because I woke up in a cold sweat, freaked out. It was very much like a nightmare. There weren't two forms of the dream that I revealed, that I received. Now, look, this dream I'm talking about, I received, just let it go in one ear and out the other. Okay, just forget about it. But the fact of the matter is that it's showing that Jehoshaphat was skilled in a tradition of knowledge of interpreting dreams, which I can only reckon he inherited from Jacob, who would have inherited it from Isaac, who would have inherited it from Abraham, who would have inherited it from Shem, who would have inherited it from Noah, on back to Lamech, Methuselah, and Enoch. And then go back to Adam. And obviously, Enoch would have been far more knowledgeable than Adam. But what a beautiful tradition we've received. And where is this knowledge of interpreting dreams in our inheritance, in our tradition? Where do we find this knowledge that Jehoshaphat inherited? Or was this something that the Most High just infused in his spirit? He never read it from a book, never learned it from a man, and the Most High just gave it to him exclusively. You got any thoughts on that?
Well,
oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, if you go back to chapter 37 and pick up, go ahead and read in the Zondervan book you have, go ahead and read, start at verse 5.
37:5.
Kind.
Jehoshaphat had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him all the more. He said to them, "Listen to this dream I had. We were binding sheaves of grain out in the field when suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright, while your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it." His brothers said to him, "Do you intend to reign over us?" Or where do you want me to stop at?
Oh, keep going. I'll tell you.
All right. "Will you actually rule us?" And they hated him all the more because of his dream and what he had said. Then he had another dream, and he told it to his brothers. "Listen," he said, "I had another dream, and this time the sun and the moon and 11 stars were bowing down to me." When he told
All
his
right.
father,
So you can stop right there.
okay.
Actually, we can stop right there. So that there we see again he had two dreams initially.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the first two dreams that he had that where basically he was seeing what he's seeing now. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not we're not to that point yet because his brothers are going to come and make obeisance to him and bow down to him as him being higher than they are. So I mean we can see here in 37 that he did have it was two occasions, two dreams. Because the Most High establishes everything. He never, by the witness of one should not be put to death, but by the witness of two or three shall shall them shall they be eligible for death. That makes sense.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So he always established a matter with two or three, so never just one. So that's how I understand it. Go ahead, Akinanaya.
God, you wanna? Oh, did you want to continue or would you?
Oh, I thought you had something.
Oh, well, no, I was just saying. I was wondering if Jabril was speaking about, do we still interpret the dreams that we have? And some people do. In fact, still have that gift of interpreting dreams. You know.
Kind. Yeah, actually, you can use the scripts and
I'll tell you what, I am looking for such people. If you could point me in the direction of anybody you know that would be willing to try.
actually you can look at the scripts and get an understanding of how the dreams are broken down in the scripts, and you can use that to really interpret the dreams that you have. Taking what's written in the book as to what is how they interpret it, and you can apply that to your own dream. So
Well,
the
yeah,
more we study, the better our understanding we get. Is what I'm saying.
the only thing I could do.
Kind,
Yeah.
yes indeed. All right, well let's continue. I think we're at verse 33.
Uh, Con.
All right, verse 33. Now therefore let Pharaoh look out a Salika. Verse 33. Now therefore let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise and set him over the land of Mizraim. Let Pharaoh do this and let him appoint officers over the land and take up a fifth part of the land, and the Egyptians in the seventh plenteous years. Oh, sleek. I botched that completely. I'm sorry. Let me start that over. I don't know why I'm not putting this together right. Verse 34. Let Pharaoh do this and let him appoint officers over the land and take up a fifth part of the land of Mizraim in the seven plenteous years. That made much more sense. Uh,
God.
and let them gather all the food of those good years that come and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh and let them keep food in the cities. Verse 36. And the food that shall be for store to the land against the 7 years of famine, which which shall be in the land of Mizraim, let the land perish not through the famine. So Joseph, I mean, in virtually no time, he not only can understand the dream, but he also understands the resolution for the dream, the resolution for the famine.
Yeah, Con.
I mean, but that's all part of the interpretation because when we go back to the dream, you had the seven plenty, the seven fat, and then you had the seven ill favored and skinny,
Con.
and yeah.
You
So
know, what I'm thinking about is, you remember how Yosef had remained true. The his master's wife was trying to throw herself upon him, and he
right.
stays true through that whole ordeal because he didn't want to transgress uh, the laws of the Most High. He didn't want
Yes,
to
indeed.
or offend the Most High. We know
Yes,
that
indeed.
wisdom is given to those who follow the commandments, right?
Yes, indeed. Yes,
And wisdom is knowing what to do with knowledge. So,
uh,
like, it's just a big circle. You know what I mean? That's going on with yourself. You know what I mean? Like
yes, indeed.
he's righteous, so he's been granted knowledge, and knowing what to do with that knowledge is wisdom.
Yes, indeed. Praise Yah. That is exactly on point because thinking back to that conversation, when he told that woman, he said he only thing he's kept back from me is you, because you are his wife. Now, how shall I commit this great sin against the Most High?
Indeed.
He said, how should I sin against? He said, how should I sin against your husband? He said, how should I commit this sin against the Most High? I'm not doing it. I'm not going against the Most High. It's such a horrible. And keep in mind too that Reuben had just did this very thing to his father.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was just that was
A
what
few
30
chapters ago, yeah.
just a few chapters ago. Reuben had did this egregious sin to his father. So Joseph had a first-hand account of that situation, and I'm sure the devastation that it brought to their family. So that was before he was sold. Verse 37. Uh, and the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of his servants. So they were pleased with Joseph's interpretation
Mm-hmm.
and with his plan, which all came by the Most High. So that's a real barakah. Verse 38. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, can you find such a one as this? Is a man of whom the spirit of the Most High is? And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, for as much as the Most High have shown you all this, there is none more discreet and wise as you are. So Pharaoh see in Joseph the power of the Most High working. He said,
Indeed.
you got to have a job, man. Ain't nobody else can do it but you.
Right, right. Well, it also helps that that butler relayed that story of how his life was spared and how the cupbearer's life was taken, and Yosef had interpreted that. So there's those two witnesses there. You know what I mean? And so the Pharaoh's got a decision to make. Should I look out other places for someone so wise, or can I just go to the source of where this knowledge is coming from?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a sensible choosing that he did, but of course that was the favor of the Most High on Joseph. So heavy to the point where Pharaoh said, "You know what? You got the job, man, because ain't nobody else can do this but you." These other cats. I asked them; they didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, come.
But here you come and you give a perfect breakdown, an interpretation, and I mean it's got to be you. So let's continue here, verse 40. Uh, you shall be over my house in accordance in according unto your words shall all my people be ruled. Uh, only in the throne will I be greater than you. So
Hallelujah.
yes, indeed. We like to say that Joseph was the governor.
Hallelujah.
Pharaoh means king, but Joseph was made the governor. So he was the one that was making everything go. He was the one that was, getting the pieces moving, and the parts. He was the oil that
More like
lubed
president.
the gears.
Only got governors in our state. So to put it in proper perspective, various provinces throughout Egypt would have been more more of an equal comparison to a state of the United States. Joseph was more like the president, while Pharaoh was still Pharaoh. You know what I'm saying? Like, really? Like, I only got more control of you and on the throne. That's the only place I'm more powerful than you. Joseph is on the throne. Other than that, you run everything. Like,
yeah, yeah, kind. And I think if we put it in perspective, the president has certain powers, but the governor of the state has power over that state, even to the National Guard. The president can mobilize, I believe, the Marines,
it was
but
just, yeah, it was
yeah,
just.
but the governor can say National Guard. Like, look, I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas, and we had the Little Rock Nine there. If you're familiar, this is where they were starting to integrate the schools, and the president of not the president, but the governor of Arkansas sent the National Guard in to keep the students out, the black students out, the so-called black students out, and the president of the United States, he actually, I think he sent, it might have been the Kentucky National Guard, in to basically man down I'm gonna have to look that up now that I've mentioned it. I believe it was the Kentucky. Let me see.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it was me. I went to that school, Central High. I went to that very school. What
My
was the National Guard?
mother and father went to Central.
Who was that out?
So my mother and father went to Central.
Oh, really?
Central in Arkansas.
Oh,
Little Rock.
In Little Rock. You remember where they first integrated
that's what school.
That's where I went to school.
Oh, in Little Rock, I didn't gather that.
Yeah, that's where I'm from.
That's right.
I'm Googling here. All right. This says on September 23rd, President Eisenhower issued Executive Order 10730, which put the Arkansas National Guard under federal authority and sent 1,000 U.S. Army troops from the 101 Airborne Division to Little Rock to maintain order as Central High School desegregated. Okay, I was under the impression that the governors brought the National Guard and the president said, "Oh, I will use the National Guard as well," and brought a National Guard. I want to say from Kentucky. Let me see. Let me go to Wikipedia here. I know y'all can't see this. Let me switch. I'm gonna switch it here. Oh, I forget Wikipedia. I don't like this computer. Oh, gracious. What a fiasco. So we'll have to look at that at a separate time. But yeah, the point is, yeah, the governor definitely has power, but he's the one that does the work. The president doesn't really do, like the Pharaoh. Pharaoh don't do any work. The Pharaoh sends people to do the work. But he put
I agree.
Joseph. Yeah, he put Joseph in that position because Joseph was going to be the. Joseph said, basically get a man to do the work, and he's like, well, nobody better than you. The Most High being with you. Go out and get it done, get it accomplished. So, yeah, a Pharaoh would be more like the president, and then the people working would be more like the
No,
governors.
no. Like presidents and monarchs are totally different, right? So magistrates, and not that I care, but like the more proper term, I think in English would have been a vizier. Kings in antiquity did traditionally have a vizier, someone that was in charge of the kingdom and handled the state affairs as much as possible when there was someone competent around. It's like they're like viziers all over history that would manage the state, the economy, be in charge of the military apparatus, and everything that Pharaoh charged Joseph to do would have been a task for a vizier. I was just making the analogy that there's a bit more of authority given to Joseph than we commonly confer to our governors. But I agree with you 400%. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a difference between governor and whatnot. But not to be the issue.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I just now I'm really looking into this. I'm on the History Channel, looking at this, trying to find, because I remember them teaching us that when I was in school, and let's
I
see.
think it was the Kentucky National Guard.
I think it was. I mean, I remember that in my mind. I don't know why. It's in my mind.
They use Kentucky for.
And I want to say they didn't want to use the Arkansas because those people had relationships with the people of Little Rock,
right.
so it had to be an
Yeah.
outside force.
Yeah, I think that the governor sent in the Arkansas Guard to keep the students out, if I remember correctly. And then the president said, "No, I'm gonna send the 101 in," and I think they were from Kentucky.
Yeah, Fort Campbell.
Yeah, kind of. I'm just looking here. I'm at this. Here, let me switch this so y'all can see where I'm looking at. Uh, Yeah, this is this is why these conversations are so interesting, because various things can come up and you can really get into some good some good information just from just from one to another. So you see, I'm on the History Channel. It says I'm trying to get to the point here. Okay, days before the school year started, the governor of Arkansas, whatever his name is, Oven, whatever, a segregationalist, announced on September the 2nd, 1957, that he would order the state's National Guard to surround Central to prevent black students from entering. Yep, that's exactly what I remember them teaching us when I was there. So uh, under the guise of protecting them from mob violence. In response, federal judge Ron Davis issued a ruling the very next day mandating that integrated classes would proceed as court ordered. But on September 4th, when black students historically known as the Little Rock Nine faced vicious what is that?
Throng.
Throng?
Vicious
Okay.
throng outside Central.
Wow, that
they were denied entry by armed troops in the Arkansas National Guard. The image of the African American students were screamed at, heckled, and spat on by made national and international news. The intense standoff continued over several weeks as the National Guard continued to surround the school in defense of Judge Davis's ruling. Now, I was in the Arkansas National Guard. I can't imagine them sending me out there to do this craziness, you know. But I'm sure back then it wasn't our people too much in there. To discuss a solution, Governor whatever visited President Eisenhower at his retreat in Newport, Rhode Island. Eisenhower faced a compliance
Complicated.
complicated. Was it paradigmatic?
Predicament.
Predicaments. Salika. I'll be tripping sometime. Uh, he believed in adhering to the Constitution, but he was outwardly passionate about civil rights and didn't speak in support of Brown's ruling. He wasn't enthusiastic about the Supreme Court decision to uh,
Equivocated.
equivocated in public, said J.D. Kirk or John A. Kirk, a history professor in the University of Little Rock. I went to college there too. The author of Beyond Little Rock, The Origins of the Literacy of Central High Crisis, and did put strong backing to it. Eisenhower, and I'm not trying to read all this, but I'm trying to get to where they brought that National Guard in. I want to say it was from
Kentucky.
I think that's where the 101 is from.
Yeah, come.
But I wanted to say the Kentucky National Guard, 101st.
Yeah.
He brought them in. You know.
Yeah, because my stepfather was in the National Guard here, and all that sounds too familiar.
There it is right there. I highlight.
Oh, what about?
Right where your mouse is.
Oh, right here on September 23rd, President Eisenhower issued executive order. National Guard troops division, Little Rock. Yeah, I wanted to say Kentucky though, because I want to say that's where they said it.
Yeah, 101st is stationed at Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
Campbell. Okay, Okay, so that makes sense. Okay, so that's why I had that in my mind. Remember we was talking last night, and I was like, my mother asked me, "How you remember that?" And I'm like, I don't know. It was just there, and it came out. Various things. She'll be like, "How you remember that?" Like, that's how I recall it. It's in there. It came out. So anyway, let's get back to the script. Kind of a little stroll in history there. Let's go back to the screen here. Salika had to get to a little bit of more understanding. All right. I believe we left off at verse 41. It says, "And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, See, I have set you over all the land of Mizraim. And Pharaoh took his ring from his hand and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vesture and fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck." It's ironic when you think about it, how
we obsessed over God.
The brothers, you think about Run DMC and LL Cool J, they had made it. They got that fat gold chain and put it on their neck, like that was official. And
it's a status. It's a form of status. So even in antiquity, you know what I mean. This gold chain meant something,
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, it's nothing but metal, but it was a form of prestige,
Yes, indeed. It was then, and it still is now. Them brothers, that was back in the '80s, and them brothers was rocking them. Like, yeah, I got this big gold chain. I think somebody made a song about that with my big gold chain or something like that. Anyway, moving on. It's just funny how you read the text and then it goes right with culture with our current culture, or even culture from the past. So, verse 43. "And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had, and they cried before him, bowing the knee, and he made him ruler over all Mizraim." Verse 44. "And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without you shall no man lift his hand or foot in all the land of Mizraim. He said, I am Pharaoh, and without you, he didn't say without me, he said without you, shall no man lift his hand or his foot, lest you say so. I don't like this next part. And Pharaoh, verse 45, and Pharaoh called Joseph's name. I'm not going to even say that because I already know it's something pagan. So I'm just going to skip that. So we're going to skip that. And gave him a wife, and I'm sure her name is pagan too. Matter of fact, let's take.
Yeah, let's take a look at it.
Let's take a look at those.
Oh, yeah, there's a couple of interpretations of Yahusef's name, which Yah-fear and honorable, not pagan.
What this word here?
Yeah, I've heard quite a few different interpretations of what it means. Like we used to watch this video every Shabbat about the story of Joseph, and that name I can't remember exactly. What verse is it?
It's verse 45.
45. Yeah, we're about to get into it. Let me finish this. Let me finish this up here. And gave him to wife.
Yeah. I don't think
whatever you say.
Asenath.
Okay. The daughter of
Potiphar.
Yeah. See, this is a priest.
Yeah.
They gave him the daughter of a priest. I know this is pagan. This is what they do. Of On. We have to look at that word too, of what that On is. And Joseph went out without. And Joseph went out over all the land of Mizraim. Let's take a look at this verse here. It's a little bit to break down in this verse, starting with this word here. Let's unpack this. Let's see how they pronounce it.
Strong's H 6847. Safinath Paneach. Safinath Paneach.
Yeah.
Second entry. Paneach. Paneach.
Yeah, of Egyptian diversion. Treasury of the glorious rest. Treasure of the glorious rest. And then given by Pharaoh to Joseph. Of Egyptian division. Might not be as pagan as I thought.
But I'm pretty sure Potiphar does it pay some type of homage to that deity. I forget exactly what it is.
I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure usually it say I know with the three Hebrew boys when they changed their names directly to something that went directly to those idols.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how people remember them, is by they slave name, not by the Hebrew names. You ask a Christian who is Ananiah, Azariah, and Michael.
Khan.
They don't have a clue. But you ask them the other three names, they know them exactly. Oh yeah, those were three Hebrew boys. Like, no, that's the wrong order. That's the wrong order. So let me just see what else it says here. Publicly capacity of Pharaoh and the genuine. And just trying to see if anything pertinent exists. So it doesn't actually look like it. From what they say, it's not really talked about.
It almost appears to be a title. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Treasury.
More so, yeah, more so than a name. So, let's see what her name means, if it has any meaning.
Yeah, I want to say princess of something. Yeah, there it is. Yep.
Belong to To the goddess. Yeah, definitely not. I don't even know how to pronounce that. I'm not going to fool with that. Yeah. See, you can't trust these. You can't trust these jokers. Let's see what this on is. Hopefully, that's not something pagan I'm saying. Every time we say, "Oh," it's pronounced as that. Strength or vigor. Oh, okay. Well, that's a load off.
Hallelujah.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I'm careful about these names, these foreign names, because most of they like it's like my name Hazaki Yahoo. You say my name, you giving praise to the Most High. So if you say Hazaki Yahoo, if you say Hazaki Yah, or if you say Hezekiah, you giving praise to the Most High. So either way, and they tend to do the same with their names. So you got to be mindful. And English is so better. Don't get me wrong. So let's continue. We're almost to the end here. I'm sorry. Did you have something to bring out, Jabril?
No, sir.
Okay, I didn't know if you were trying to. I was trying to cut you off. All right, verse 46. And Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Mizraim. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went throughout the land of Mizraim. So, Shlika, Joseph was 30 years old at this time. When he was sold into slavery, he was 17.
That's what I was thinking as well. So we're talking about 12 or 13 years rather.
Another 13, ain't that something?
Mm-hmm.
It was 13 years from Abraham to when Abraham didn't hear from, or Abram didn't hear from the Most High after Ishmael was born. Ishmael was 13 years old. He went from, wow. Yeah, so that's unusual to see these. It says it right here in this next verse. Verse 46. And Joseph, oh, my bad, Shlika, that's not what it's saying. I saw it at 30 and I thought 13 in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 46. And Joseph was 30 years old. Oh, no, I just read that, Shlika. We are 47. And in the 7 plenty years, the earth brought forth by handfuls. So they reaping good harvest in those 7 years of plenty. And he gathered up all the food of the 7 years, which were in the land of Mizraim, and laid up the food in the cities, and the food in the fields, which were round about every city, laid he up in the same. Now think about this. This just came to my ruach here. Think about how much we waste. Not we. I mean, think about this city that we in. Think about how much is wasted food wise in this city. Now we've been in a time of plenty for I don't know how long.
Mm-hmm.
400 years.
But imagine if there was a famine coming that would last 7 years or more. Him putting Joseph over this. Joseph is now in control of everything, so he's eliminating the waste. So there's no waste now because it all goes through him. So he's able to stockpile more. He's able to stockpile that what would have been wasted, and then give them what they need. So they only dealing with as need base as far as food goes.
Mm-hmm.
Put that in perspective in where we are now. How would that look? That would be basically communism.
That's what they would call it. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So imagine
but there's a monarchy.
Yeah, there's a monarchy, and
well,
imagine. Let's put it like this. Imagine the House and the Senate and the president and the judges all having this dream, and then a man of the Most High come and interpret the dream, and he lays it out for all of them, and they can't help but to agree.
Yeah.
And they're gonna put him in a position like they did Joseph and say, "This is what we need to do." I mean, you talking the Senate. I don't know how many in the Senate. I'm not gonna get into all that, but you talking the Senate, the House, the president, and the judges. So you got all three branches of government: the judicial, the legislative, and the executive branches of government. They all have to agree that this one man who came and interpreted. First, they all had to have the same dream, which the Most High could do. He has to come, be brought in to interpret the dream, give them an interpretation that they all can agree on, that this is the right interpretation and this is the right move to make. And you know how much of a mess that would be?
Man.
With three branches of government? That would be a complete, it would take years. They would be almost through with the famine before they came to an agreement.
Right. It'd be confusion,
Yeah, it would be just utter chaos. It would be straight chaos because I don't even know how many judges it is. The judicial branch, I don't even know how many judges. Of course, the executive, that's the president, the vice president, and then the House and the Senate is the legislative. Yeah, and the courts are the judicial, if I remember that correctly. Look, that memory just came out of nowhere too. Just reading this, just all kind of memories just coming back to my in my mind, which is crazy. So, but yeah, they would. I mean, to get the same thing in this land that we in now would be almost impossible. Even though it would completely be in a mirror image, but because of the system of government that they have set up, it would be completely just utterly chaos. It's just straight chaos. All right, let's go ahead and try to finish this out here. Verse 50. Anybody got anything to add before I move on?
Well, I was thinking, we've been told numerous times, like over the last year and a half, 2 years, of a coming famine. And, many people are asleep on it. Nobody's really preparing, for the most part.
Come on.
Time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when you consider, like I said, Joseph, he basically came in and eliminated all the waste. So what they were wasting, they were actually had that for the famine. He put that up for the famine.
Mm-hmm.
So now they were on at an at need base. Put that in perspective here. Think about the motels, the restaurants, the fast food places, the grocery stores, the food warehouses, all of these places that deal with the food, getting it from the farmers into freezing it, the cold trucks, all of these things. You would have to have one person in charge of all of this, and by the time they came to an agreement, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even know. I mean, it would be crazy to see. I'm certainly not saying the Most High couldn't do it. I mean, I know he could.
If Pharaoh didn't give the word, how hard would it have been for Egypt to come to a consensus? Okay, we're going to take this young man's wisdom. We just took him out of prison.
Right.
Smarter than all of us, so we need to all follow him. Like if it wasn't for Pharaoh, how could they have pulled it off?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting to. That's basically what I'm laying out because it's so the government here is so thick. You know what I'm saying? There's so many layers that you can't have one person to just say, let's do what he said. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody's going to disagree.
Yeah. If it's nothing more than a greedy politician trying to get their stake and trying to take over something on the low,
Exactly. Well, I have a better idea than that. My idea would be better.
Yeah.
I could do this. I can
Yes.
come up with something. Give me 2 days and I'll come up with something, or give me 72 hours, or something stupid like that. But
Who's the son of a shepherd trying to tell us?
right. Who is this guy? Especially one of our people. Who is this guy to come in here and tell us that this what got to happen? You out of your mind. What let's see your credentials. What university did you graduate from?
Straight up.
Right.
Straight up.
So
I don't want to beleaguer it, but you make such a great point, Ak. What if
yeah.
Pharaoh didn't have that dream? If he didn't have that dream and then turned to his magicians and his court and nobody able to give him an answer, and he's so distraught, right? If the right pressures and energies weren't in place in his mind, could he even put himself in a position to listen to Joseph? Like,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, that was all the Most High. The Most High orchestrated
Hallelujah.
all of that.
Hallelujah.
Every bit of it.
Hallelujah.
And even to the point where Joseph was sold into slavery, into captivity in Mizraim. Because he could have been taken somewhere else. He could have been taken, he could have been taken up to instead of Mizraim, he could have been taken up to the north, where in Italy or Greece or something.
So if you was Joseph and your brother sold you into slavery and you had that dream, would you cry about being sold into slavery? Probably.
I mean, absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so come over here on 400 years. But the Most High told our father Abraham what he's going to do in terms of blessing the entire nations through us. All the nations attach themselves to us. He's going to gather us together by his mighty hand. It's like, yeah, Joseph went through some hardship, but he came out on top. And it's like, yeah, that's what the Most High was telling Abraham. To look, I'm about to give you the biggest prize I can give to a human being. It's going to include my Hamashiach, but your children going to go through 400 years. Don't get caught up in this 400 years, because I got you. The blessing I'm about to give you is so big and powerful. I basically got to put your children through something to justify what I'm about to give you, because it's so great. So we go, like Joseph had 13 years. We had 400. I know it's a big difference. But, I think you hear what I'm saying.
Big difference. Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That's why we study. This is wonderful. It really just brings out so much, So praise Yah. Let's continue. Verse 50. And unto Joseph was born 2 sons. The years of famine came, and that woman, who I won't mention, the daughter of that name I'm not gonna say, priest of On, bare unto him. So his wife that he was given from a priest with a pagan name, she bare him 2 sons. Verse 51. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn
Manasseh.
Manasseh. For the Most High said, He made me forget all my toil and all my father's house.
Hallelujah.
So yes, indeed, that is beautiful. He made me forget all the adversity I had in all my father's house. Let's see what that means. I'm sure it means the same exact thing.
Mm-hmm.
Manasseh. In that shoe. Used 146 times.
Mm-hmm. But
son.
Joseph is continuing to remain true to the Most High, because in a land of Mizraim, a land full of pagans. He could have chose to name this child a pagan name, but he's continuing to stay true to his roots.
Man, he could have did anything. He could have become a whoremonger. Mm-hmm. He could have become gluttonous. He could have did anything which was accustomed to the people of Egypt and justifiable, but he stuck fast to what his father told him. Hallelujah.
Praise Yah. Yeah, he definitely, Yah definitely had to put him in that position, because he really went through a lot, being in that prison. And he went through a lot. He didn't have an easy journey. We're saying 13 years, as if 13 wouldn't be a big deal. But, we done lived 13 years a few times, each of us. But you know, what he went through, what he endured was heavy, and it put him to a place where, you know, he went from being, you know, kind of puffed up and kind of, you know, full of himself to well, he was humble. He was greatly humbled.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we went back and looked at chapter 37, where his brothers, when he was telling them about his dream, you know, he had a lot of arrogance, and you know, he was kind of snooty about that situation. And when Pharaoh came and asked him about his dream, he was like, "It's not me, it's the Most High." So, you know,
Indeed.
you can see that transformation that he had gone through.
Hallelujah.
Yes, indeed. Let's continue, verse 52. And the name of the second son was Ephraim, for the Most High have caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. Praise God.
Hallelujah.
Let's see what that fruit. Let's see. I'm sure Ephraim means fruitful in the land of your affliction. Where did it go? Here it is. Let's see. This is the first time that we see the well, Abraham did marry. It looked like, remember, I seem like I remember Abraham naming Ishmael, but it was told to Hagar that her name, that you should call his name Ishmael. Yeah, I
Gone.
remember that. Yeah. But this is the first time I can see a male naming the children outright. Let's see how they, yeah, Ephraim and double ash heap to be a double fruitful, to be double fruitful, doubly
Mm-hmm.
fruitful. Okay, that's interesting. All right, so that's interesting. Let's give an actual, you know, definition for it, and not just the second son of Joseph. Ephraim, the younger son of Joseph, ancestor of the tribe of Ephraim. Okay, okay, let's move on. I think we took a little bit more time than we wanted to take, but we almost to the end. This was a long chapter, and then we had some other stuff come out. Uh, and okay, verse 53. It says, and the seventh year, and the 7 years of plenteous that was in the land of Mizraim were ended, and the 7 years of death began to come, according to Joseph as Joseph has said, and the death was in all lands, but in all the land of Mizraim there were bread. And when all the land of Mizraim was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, the Mizrahites, go unto Joseph. What he said to you, do.
Mm-hmm.
And the famine was over all the face of the earth. And Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold unto the Mizrahites. And the
Oh,
famine waxed sore in the land of the Mizraim
so the
and
famine,
all countries. Salika?
man, I missed that. The famine was all over the earth.
Yeah, Khan. Yeah. I was gonna hit back on that.
Hallelujah.
Uh, verse 57, we'll finish this out. And all countries came unto Mizraim to Joseph for to buy corn,
Yes.
because the famine was sore in all lands. So it wasn't just Mizraim and Canaan, that was affected by the famine. It was everybody.
Oh
So
man,
if you wanted to live, you had to come to Mizraim, to Egypt, to Joseph to get food. So my gracious, in 7 years, he saved enough food to last the whole world
what?
for 7 years.
What?
That's what we read right here. That's what we reading.
What it says?
That's what we reading now.
Hallelujah!
You see this? I mean, you see, am I looking at it wrong?
Oh my
Verse
goodness.
57 put it in perspective. For all countries came unto Mizraim to Yosef for to buy corn, because the famine was sore in all lands.
So, what I'm gathering out of this, and you all correct me if I'm wrong, but through the blessings of the Most High,
Con,
working through an Israelite, a
con,
country is preserved and actually comes up to become that much more of a superpower.
the world power.
Likewise, through our ancestors' blood, sweat, and tears, this
Mm-hmm.
country here is able to rise up and become a superpower. You
World
know,
These
power.
it's a parallel. A direct
Parallel.
parallel.
Yes, indeed. That's exactly what we read in this 41st chapter. That's exactly what we see in here.
now in all fairness, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we're talking about Yahaseth. We're not that many generations removed from Noah. And the children of Noah start to move out from the Levant, what they call the cradle of civilization, the Mesopotamian valley. They move outwards from there to populate the rest of the earth. I really want to go back and look at the stars, see what was going on with the stars. Then I want to see what type of global catastrophe might have happened at that time, which would have spawned a global famine. But in all fairness, unless I'm missing something, I don't think there was advanced civilization on this side of the Atlantic at that point. I'm thinking that most nations were still, pretty much concentrated, not too far deep into Africa, but Libya, Mizraim, and Kush would have been the predominant societies in the continent of Africa. Obviously, in Canaan, going to the east, you got the Persians, you got the Indians. I don't think the Mongoloids, Gog and Magog, have accumulated in the numbers to where we know them to be today, talking about Asia and Japan and the Chinese, the Mongoloid peoples. But I'm just saying, I'm as much as saying all nations came to trade to buy corn. I'm thinking that that all these peoples are pretty much right there, not too far away from Mizraim. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see how you can come to that, but I see how you can come to that, honestly. But I mean, we read 56. 56 again says, and the famine was over all the face of the earth.
All the face of the earth. Yes.
All the face of the earth.
What happened?
It was the Most High. He poured it. He just did it. It was his power. He just no more food. No more green, nothing green for 7 years. Nothing green for 7 years.
Those things, he used tools, typically, if it's nothing more than the angel.
Yeah. He could have sent the messenger down, and the messenger, touched the ground, and all the ground just refused to produce.
We could probably go back and look into history and find some sort of event. It's a famine. I don't know if it was just a drought of rain or whatnot, but I'm really curious. I'm intrigued, and I really want to learn more about the exactly what conditions the earth was suffering from. It's really intriguing.
Yeah. So I mean, put it in perspective. We got this great famine that's affecting the whole world. We just recently, you said we, just a few generations past Noah, just a very few generations past Noah. We read all the generations already. So we just had the flood, and Noah came out on the other side. Post the flood, we read about Joktan and his brother. What was his brother's name? I forgot.
Man, it means to divide.
Earthquake. Yeah.
Man,
It's in 11. It's in
let me
chapter
grab it
11.
real quick. Joktan and Dan.
No, not the Dan. It was I almost said the Dan as well. That's why I'm like, no, that's not it. It's what is his name? I'm trying to think of it before I go to it. What is his name?
I remember us
Oh,
correctly because it meant
It's a lot
to
of names.
scatter.
Don't feel bad. It's a lot of names.
Oh,
but
Peleg.
his is Peleg. Yeah, I can never remember Peleg. I can never remember Peleg. I can never remember Peleg. I cannot remember that name for anything. That is crazy. It was on the tip. It was almost, but no. When you said it, I was like, "That's it." But I didn't. That wasn't what was in my mind. I cannot remember Peleg. I don't know why I can't remember Peleg. I remember Jack's hand. I can remember Jack's hand with no problem. But Peleg, I cannot remember Peleg for some reason.
Yeah, and
But
it means division. I think I said scatter. It means division.
It means division, kind. Yeah, he was during the time of the earthquake. So he lived, or they lived, I should say, during the time where the earth was split, because before that, the earth was one big piece.
Yeah.
And so there was a big earthquake that
Yeah.
happened, which what Peleg means, and everything started to shift, started to move. So my question is, how fast was it moving? So was it that the earth was closer together at that time where it just slowly drifted apart, or it was slowly drifting? And so you had the people more in the if you see my hand movement, was it more, were they closer together? And then as the time went on, they got further and further apart to
Well,
where we are now.
well, I know during the flood, when the floor of the oceans burst forth, because there was waters, the vault of heaven let loose its waters, and waters came down from above, but
Yeah.
waters came up from the deep, right? Burst
Yeah.
forth from the deep. And so
Yeah,
when
it
we
was coming like this.
so when we look along the ocean floor, there's actually a crack. You can take it from the top of the planet, if you will, or Antarctica, the Arctic, whichever part you want to take it. But there's a crack following the bottom of the ocean floor in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and it goes all the way around the Earth, in the very middle of the Pacific Ocean, following the line of structure of the continents. And we read the description that Noah gives us. He says that the fountains of the deep burst forth, and water's coming from the sky 40 days and nights.
Right.
And so you have a convergence of waters, but more importantly, there's this great explosion at the bottom of the floor. And we still have, there's still, the cracks are still there at the bottom of the sea floor. And you can see that crack is exactly structured the way that the continent split. And so there was a study to determine if what's that big old thing out I can't think of the thing right now, but it's out in the West where it's all barren and everything. But there was a study to determine whether or not you can I really need the name here. But long story short, point I was trying to make is that I think that the continents moved apart to the position that they are today within the expanse of time that it took the flood to take place. And so I don't think the continents were steadily moving apart after the flood. I think they went through that great transition rapidly throughout the duration of the flood. Now, in terms of how quickly people populated the Levant and migrated outwards from what we call the cradle of civilization, the Mesopotamian Valley, to populate the rest of the planet after the flood. You can look at the migrational patterns of the world, and you can get some really sound numbers on that. But I think in terms of the continent splitting apart, I think that transition from Pangea, when all the land masses were one body, as opposed to
Right.
where they're at now, I think that all took place. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just thinking, what was the name of the supercontinent? And that's what it was, Pangea.
Yeah. So my understanding is that Pangea split up and became the 7 continents very rapidly throughout the course of what we know as Noah's flood.
Well, I want to show you something. One thing, because I can see how you come to that, but I want to show you one thing here, and I want to say it might have been chapter 10. Sons of Noah. Okay, and here we go. Let's pick this up at chapter 10 and verse 6. It says, "And the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. And the sons of Cush," let's skip down a little bit here. Let's skip down to verse 10 right here, if I remember this correct. Verse 10, it says, "And the beginning of his kingdom," let's go to verse 9. Verse 9. And he was a mighty hunter before Yahuwah. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, a mighty hunter before Yahuwah. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel and Erech and Akkad and Kalim, how you say that?
Yeah,
Canal. And the land of Shinar, Stalika. I get tired of these words just tripping me sometimes. And sometimes it's me, and sometimes most of the time it's me. I should know these words. Anyway, let's keep on. Verse 11. "Out of the land dwelt Ashur and builded Nineveh and the city of Rehoboth and Calah." Let's skip down some here because I'm looking for a specific passage here. Okay, I may be wrong. It may have been in chapter 11. I was thinking it was chapter 10. Let's go to chapter 11 here. Yeah, it is chapter 11. So, for context, I'm going to go ahead and read all of this. Not all of this. I'm going to read from verse 1. So, this is chapter 11, verse 1. It says, "And the whole earth was one language and one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelled there. And they said one to another, Go, let us make brick and burn them through. And they had brick for stone and slime they had for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto Shamaim. And let us make us a name, lest," see this right here? "Lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth." And Yahuwah came down to see the city. It's gonna say it again. I'm just gonna remember about 2 or 3 witnesses. Verse 5. And Yahuwah came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men built. And Yahuwah said, behold, the people are one, and they have one language. And this they begin to do, and nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So Yahuwah scattered them. So Yahuwah scattered them abroad from there up on the face of all the earth, and they left to build the city. So the earth was not the people were not scattered, and the earth was not broken in the flood. It didn't happen until the Tower of Babel. At that point, he decided to separate all of man because they were working together for evil, and he put a stop to it.
But does that
Imagine,
say that continents were split, or does that say that the people were scattered?
well, how were the people scattered? Well, you think you sent them through a wind? I mean,
Oh, I'd be very, very cautious to declare exactly how the Most High did it. I don't know.
I
But
believe,
what
well,
here is what I'm
I
asking.
personally believe, Salika,
What does it say here? What is the text actually telling us, though? Is what I'm asking.
the text said, from what I just read, verse 8, it says, and Yahuwah scattered them abroad from there upon the face of all the earth, and they left off the building, left off to build the city. So he scattered them.
Yeah, so he's
And
saying that it doesn't say that he split up any of the land masses, though. It said he scattered the people.
well, if we go back, actually, if we go forward, I know you weren't on this part of the study with us when we kind of went through it, and so it's kind of so you didn't get into all the this history that we kind of went through, but I think I went too far. I'll show you though. I'll bring you up to where we are. So right here, verse 16, it says, and Eber lived 34 years and begot Peleg. And Eber lived after he begot Peleg 430 years and begot sons and daughters. And Peleg lived 30 years and begot Reu. And Peleg lived after he begot Reu 209 years and begot sons and daughters. Now, Peleg is who we mentioned earlier. He and his brother Joktan. Joktan was important because we found out Joktan was the progenitor of many Arab tribes, and Peleg was his brother. And when we click on Peleg, we find that this is the Hebrew word H6389. And what it means is division. And when you go into the text, into the definition, Peleg, same as H6388, earthquake, son of Shem. So Peleg, whose name means earthquake, he was around during the time of the splitting of the earth, because he was around during the time of that was when the earth was split. So the
So
Most High didn't.
I didn't catch those points. I understand Peleg means earthquake and it means to divide, but does that mean that the text is telling us that the Most High created a big earthquake during Peleg's time and divided the continents by virtue of a big earthquake and scattered the people by virtue of the earthquake? Is that what Peleg's name is telling us, or does the script actually tell us that?
I mean, honestly, that's what I deduce from it. I
Okay,
mean, I
so
can't.
let me stop
I'm
you
not
right
able
there.
to.
There's a
Okay,
term for using that type of logic. It's called conjecture. Are you familiar with that term?
I am.
Conjecture is very dangerous.
I agree. I agree. However, uh, given all the facts that we read here, given all the information that we read here, and taking the script as equivocal fact, uh, I don't see another way that it could be.
I respect your wisdom and your knowledge, but just because your logic leads you there, doesn't make it safe to conjecture. What we would be pitted to do is do further research and try to obtain more knowledge based upon our conjecture. And once we obtain more facts and we're able to compare the facts with what we know, and obviously we'd like to do it not by ourselves, compare the information with more knowledgeable scholars, then we'd be in a better position to not be able to make those statements by virtue of conjecture. We'd be able to deduce them based on facts and knowledge. Does that make better sense?
I understand what you're saying 100%, but I understand, and I can agree with you with what you're saying there.
Not to say I'm right.
All I was drawing was based on the fact that, uh, and not only that, I mean, and not to try to further the point, but there was a place, I can't remember where it was. Oh yeah, right here, verse 4, chapter 11 and verse 4. It says, "And they said, Go, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto Shamaim, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered upon the face of the whole earth." So the people at that time apparently knew, because I and in conjecture, how would they know this except it was given to their forefathers? Their forefathers are the ones that made it on this side of the flood. So it had to be given to Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth to tell the children, if you mess up, the Most High is going to scatter you over the face of the earth, because the people said, let us make us a name, lest we be scattered, lest we be, yeah, over the face of the earth.
No one
So
gave his children the responsibility and the command to spread out and populate the entire earth. Ham and Japheth did not want to move outside of Shem's land, because Shem he inherited the Levant, the middle part of the earth. In Jubilees, it talks about this explicitly. It really breaks it down in Jubilees. And Noah was given the command to tell his children to move out and populate the entire earth. And so he divided the earth up amongst his three sons in three equal divisions. But he actually made them pick lots.
Yeah, they took straws. For lots. Yeah.
Who would get what portion. So Japheth got the north, Ham got the south, and Shem got the most middle portion. It said that the Japheth's portion in the north was gloomy, dark, and cold. It said the Ham portion in the south was very hot, arid, and dry. And that Noah was very pleased that Shem picked the middle part, because he favored Shem, and the middle part was the most temperate. Well, obviously, we know what the middle part is. But Ham and Japheth stubbornly didn't want to leave from amongst Shem's possession, because it was the most favorable place to live, and there weren't that many people on the earth, right? So as they started to have more and more children, they just sort of hunkered down in their stubbornnness and just stayed there. So we get into this point to where it's describing the Tower of Babylon, and the people are saying, let us build a tower, lest we be scattered amongst the entire earth. So there's a number of books in our tradition that really explain this story really thoroughly. It's not in the Bible. Jubilees would be one of them. There's another book called the Book of the Bee, which I don't know if you're familiar with, but it actually credits this gentleman, Eber. A lot of people say Eber is the proper way to pronounce Hebrew. It actually credits this gentleman, Eber, as the one person after Shem and before Abraham, when the languages are split up, that actually retained the Aramaic language. And so there's a big story about how the people, particularly Ham's children and Japheth's children, were bent on not moving out from that part of the earth. And
Yeah.
before Noah died, he speaks to him, he admonishes him about it, because he's around for another 300-400 years. I don't remember exactly how long. But they're not moving. And he's like, look, the Most High told you guys to get up and go and populate the entire earth, and not just all sit here. I've given you guys your inheritance. You guys need to break out. And they weren't doing it. And it was like a real big obsession that not only started in the hearts and the minds of Ham and Japheth, but grew even more abundantly amongst their children. So when we get to the story of Abraham, it's still a really big passion. So much so that Nimrod is, as he establishes kingdom, he puts the message out. Say, look, before we get scattered amongst the earth, we got, the Most High wants us to move out. He wants us to move out to the whole parts of the earth. We're going to be scattered if we do what the Most High. So what the Most High does, if we don't do what the Most High says, he might send a deluge or something to wipe us out. Let us build a tower up to the heavens and make a name for ourselves before we get scattered. Scattered by who? They're making war on the Most High. And so there's a lot of tradition and teaching on these stories. But I will say, none of them include any description of the continents or the land masses being moved. More emphatically, though, there's a lot of scholarly discourse. Like, we can go up to that Noah's Ark exhibit up in northern Kentucky, and they'll give you a really vivid video demonstration of how they the top scientists in the world in geology host their ministries out of that headquarters where that Noah's Ark exhibit is in northern Kentucky. Like, the top geologists in the world, and they will give you a very vivid description of how the continents split up. Now, not to say you need to agree with it, but when I examined their work, I was very compelled to believe that their science was spot on. And included evidences like, look, we're geologists, and we went to the bottom of the earth, and we found the cracks in the bottom of the ocean when the seafloor burst forth, and the fountains of the deep sprang loose. And we can see what happened by virtue of that. Being geologists, we can see that this is when the continents start to split up. So, I just say that to say that before we get into conjecture, there is an opportunity. We do have the opportunity to do profound, sound, scientific study on this topic and come up with some really concrete answers, which won't leave us in a position where we have to conjecture.
Well, and it's not all conjecture. I mean, I've gathered this not on my own. I mean, this has been years of.
Have you looked at any scientific evidence for the continent splitting by virtue of the flood, and what happened with those cracks at the bottom of the floor? Have you looked at any of that evidence?
I've never heard that the earth split within the flood. I haven't heard that at all.
I got a brother who believes in the flat earth. And I say, I got friends who are astronauts and pilots, and they describe to me what they see, and he's like, I don't care what they've seen, I'm gonna, I know what the scriptures have told me, and it's like, dude, when we don't know something, it behooves us to be humble and study. It doesn't mean that we can't find out. We might have to study a lot. It's like with this calendar thing, right? It might take 72 Hebrews to sit down for 6 months. With the Septuagint, it took 6 months and 72 Hebrews to produce. It might not. I don't think it's safe, just being men of the scripture to allow ourselves to be simple-minded. And when we see people that are far more sophisticated than us, just in terms of their education, particularly on topics like these, right? There's a whole vast body of information out there that scholars and scientists utilize to be able to formulate debates and educate people on. If we don't look at that information, how can we come to a conclusion based upon knowledge?
Well, again, I believe the script, and they knew that the punishment was going to be being scattered across abroad. They'll be scattered abroad. So them knowing that, they knew that that was the situation that they would be faced with. To have people in one land in every land on this earth all these years later, and they didn't get there by airplane. You know, you got indigenous people in all these lands. The only way that that could have been the situation is if the people who were post flood were in all of these lands at the time of the separation. So unless you had people who would have migrated, because understand that with the knowledge of you know, if it took 3 months to get from the west coast of Africa to the Americas uh, by ship, as they took our ancestors into captivity, then you know, a 3 month voyage is not a easy voyage. You know, imagine being in one place for 3 months while that place is moving towards a direction. So I'm certain that they didn't uh, take ships and sail from you know, one place to the other. Uh, I believe eventually, yes, they did do that, but I believe that there were indigenous people who were at the time of the Pangea split. They were on that land, and when that land split, and when the earth went apart, it did move to certain places. And I've heard pilots as well. I've heard pilots say that that the earth is flat. And being up in an airplane myself on a few occasions, uh, I mean, I haven't taken the time to look out, but from what I can see, from everything that's in me, I definitely see the earth as being a flat piece. The scripture says that the earth sits upon four pillars, and there's no way that a globe can sit on four pillars.
Yeah, but the scripture says we be scattered to the four corners of the earth. Are any of us in corners?
Yeah,
What?
absolutely. For
Any corner?
the
You
corners
show
would
me
include
one
all the
corner.
lands.
Show me a corner of the earth.
The corners would include all the lands. It's just the
No,
land.
the Most High said we be scattered to the corners. Corners
Yeah.
are square. They're 90-degree angles.
Well, that's the English interpretation.
Okay, right. I
You
feel
have
you.
to go back. You have
Fair
to
enough.
go back to the Hebrew to really.
Fair enough.
You have to go back to the Hebrew to really understand. Basically, what he's saying is, you would be. I was scattering you amongst all people,
That
amongst
term
all lands.
is corner. It's the word corner in
Say it
Hebrew.
again?
The term they use for corner in English is the Hebrew word for corner. We could find it real easy. But never mind. Like I think, you know, forgive me. I didn't want to cause a stir or anything, but you know, I respect your logic on it. No, you know, it's
Yeah,
those are
it's just an observation. So I don't. It's not. You know, it's not a salvation issue. Definitely. So
right.
it's more along the lines of this is just basically based on everything that I've learned. This is what makes the most sense to me. Unless the Most High would send a wind to carry me in from one place to another.
Well, you know, Solomon flew on the winds. Solomon had a carpet. You know, the flying carpet thing that comes from Solomon flying around on the carpet. It's not beyond the Most High's power to do something of that nature. I don't know exactly how he scattered the people, but before I'd say to anybody that I knew, I'd have to find sound information.
Well, I believe that it's dealing with the reason Peleg is there, and he was named that at that time was because that's when the earth was split. That's the conclusion that I've come to.
That's what I draw that conclusion also.
Yeah. If I'm wrong about that, and you know, again, this is not a salvation issue. This is just an observation of you know, of that time.
And, you know, for the record, that, you know, that really makes a lot of sense to me. Just not enough for me. You know, I'm a man. I'm a fan of science.
I got you.
Much as it's beautiful. you know, but that you guys take on it makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
And you know, I really, you know, I cherish, you know, your insight on that. I really do. That's honestly, it's going to be helpful to me.
Kind. Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, just an observation. So
I
as you put the pieces together, it kind of makes sense that way. But either way, if there's something different, then, you know, y'all show us. But let's continue here to chapter 42, and let's try to knock this out here. So the headline here is Joseph's brothers sent to Mizraim. So go ahead and pick that up for me, Ak, if you don't mind.
Khan. It's the book of Genesis, Bereshit, chapter 42. Now when Yaakov saw that there was corn in Mizraim, Yaakov said unto his sons, why do ye look one upon another? And he said, behold, I have heard that there is corn in Mizraim. Get you down there and buy for us from there, that we may live and not die. You know, this was this past Thursday evening. This is actually where I wanted to start at. You know, because this is how our and I missed it. I think I started in 46 rather than here. But this is the script I meant to bring out, man, because it just tells, you know, how the bulk
how we came to Mizraim.
Indeed.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Continuing. Verse 3. And Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy corn in Mizraim. But Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Yaakov sent not with his brethren, for he said, lest peradventure mischief befall him. You know, just remembering what is befallen Joseph. You know, he doesn't want to lose this other son of Raquel, his beloved wife.
Yeah, his beloved wife. That's exactly what it is. He wanted to keep him back and let these other boys go. Remember how he fashioned the bands when they went before Esau. You know, before the Esau and his 400, his 400 troops that he had. You know, he said the wives of the concubines and their children first, then Leah, then Raquel was at the end.
Indeed, you know, so, it was like a place of importance.
Exactly. And he's doing the same thing here, keeping Benjamin with him because this is Raquel's son, and this is now his love child. Yes, indeed.
Yep. Verse 5. And the sons of Israel came to buy corn among those that came for the famine was in the land of Canaan. And Joseph was the governor over the land. And he it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth.
Wow. So here is the fruition of the completion of his dream. His brothers coming to bow themselves down with their faces to the earth, much as his sheaves and as the 11 stars. Well, this is 10 of the stars, 10 of the 11. So when Joseph, you know, and it's ironic because I don't think Benjamin was born when he had that dream. I think we pointed that out back in that chapter.
Man, it makes me want to look at that real quick because I want to say he was. I want to say it was like, because it was like his mother passed away when she gave birth to Benjamin. And I want to say it was the next chapter when Joseph had the dream. Because
so 37 is the dream. So let's go to it.
Yeah, remember we looked at it because we were like, because Yaakov said, "Shall your mother and myself come and bow down before you?" But we were wondering about that because she would already passed away.
Right, she passed away giving birth to Benjamin. Right. So we had both of them at the same time. You had the sun and the moon, which represented his mother and father, and then the 11 stars. So
you know what we were saying?
Asking the question like, your mother's here, and it's possible. Maybe he was asking the question like, your mother's not even here. What is the moon doing in that vision? Like, I don't exactly understand. You know, did you really see this? You know, are you really going to be ruling over us? Like, I don't really get. Maybe he wasn't asking under the pretense that his wife was still with him. Maybe he was asking under the pretense, you know, my wife is not even here.
That's interesting. It's 37 and 10.
37 and 10. Let's see.
Well, actually, we can look at 9, at 37 and 9.
All right. It's the book of Genesis, Bereshit, chapter 37, verse 9. And he dreamed yet another dream and told it his brethren and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obstinance to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren. And his father rebuked him and said unto him, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee to the earth? And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the same. So, drawing from that, now we know that, I don't know, because his mother never did come to Mizraim to bow down.
She didn't make it. She didn't make it. So that part wasn't,
but
I don't think that part was true.
But his mother wasn't a moon, and his father wasn't a sun, and his brothers weren't stars. You know, the dream doesn't manifest in the earth exactly the way the dream looks to the person that's getting the dream. The dream is freaky. And a lot of, so the stars are his brothers, but his brothers are people. His brothers are not stars. You know what I'm saying? It's like, there's no rule that says that, the dream had to be a perfect representation of what manifested in the world, exactly the way we might understand it to need to manifest. There's no rule that says that about revelations of dreams.
Well, Khan, however, I mean, Joseph, that's how he understood it when he told it to him. He said he rebuked him. It said, we just read, he rebuked his son. He rebuked Joseph and said, shall I and your mother and your brothers indeed bow ourselves to you? So, being how that dream was fulfilled, and we read in the last chapter how it was fulfilled in 41, at the beginning of this chapter, actually, I'm looking for where Raquel passes away, where she had hard labor. It's not 36. It's not 37. Let me see. Maybe it is 37. Let me read down a little bit more. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember exactly what that was at. Just check on. And then Father again. So it's a representation, much like the dream of Pharaoh. He couldn't interpret it. They couldn't understand what it meant, what it was supposed to mean. But yet, when Joseph was able to interpret it, just like when he gave it to, you mentioned, him getting that from his father, and when he told Jacob his dream, Jacob knew exactly what he was saying. Said it's just said me and your mother and your brothers. You're gonna include. It was one thing when you said the first dream, you said your brothers. Now you saying me and your mother too.
Yeah, but none of them are bowing down to him at this point. So it's like kind of,
right.
It all really might look kind of improbable. It's not on the near horizon. The land's not in a famine yet. They don't know about the famine coming. You know what I'm saying? And so I can understand Jacob being like, but I don't see, any reason to think that, that alters the authenticity or the accuracy of the way the dream was presented as opposed to the way it manifested.
Yeah, but the manifestation did not come to pass, so I don't think that it was accurate. I don't think what he told us was what he said was accurate, because.
So who do you accurate, Joseph or the editor, the person who's relating the story?
I think Joseph was untruthful in what he said,
and
because I think that goes to a part of his humbling, that the Most High had to put him in such a position to humble him, because what he was doing was antagonizing his brothers to the point where they hated him. They wanted him dead. They would have killed him.
That's a big.
If Yehuda didn't say.
It doesn't say that. The scripture says the boy had a dream. He told his daddy about the dream. Yeah. He told his brothers about the dream. I know that, but it doesn't go as far as say that he lied about any of it.
Well, it didn't come to pass. It didn't come to fruition. We see his brothers come and bow down to him. We don't see his father or his mother bow down to him. So we don't. So what represented the sun and the moon and the 11 stars? We see the 11, or we've seen 10 of the 11 so far. I'm sure when Benjamin comes, he's going to bow as well. So I'll give that without us even reading it. But I don't see Joseph or his mother coming to bow down to him. So obviously that part of the dream was not fulfilled. So either the Most High who gave him the dream,
let somebody tell me Joseph lied.
So either the Most High who gave him the dream was untruthful, or Joseph was untruthful. I would take Joseph over the Most High.
We're stupid, and Joseph was wise. We're stupid, and we're gonna say he lied. Come on, it should lie.
It didn't happen. So somebody lied. Either the Most High lied or Joseph lied. I'll take Joseph over the Most High.
That's not even in the book you're reading from. You making that up.
I'm not making it up.
Yes, you are. Nobody else. The prophets.
It's precept upon precept.
Word. You're
precept upon precept.
Forgive me.
It's precept upon precept.
And Raquel passes away in Genesis 35.
Okay, I'm at 35 right now. Yeah, I see. On down.
So the prophets lied.
All right. It's simple and plain. If I say that the Most High told me X, and X does not come to pass, what does the scripture say about me? If I say the Most High told me X, and X does not come to pass, what does the scripture say about me?
The scripture says if a prophet prophesies and what they say don't come to pass, he's not a prophet. It doesn't say they're a slanderer or a liar. Joseph was a prophet. So apparently whatever he said did not put him in a position where we have evidence to say he wasn't a prophet. Scripture says if somebody comes to you, says they're a prophet, and they prophesy, and what they say is going to happen doesn't come to pass, it means they're not sent from the Most High. It means they're not a prophet. Well, is that what you're telling me? Joseph said something that wasn't true, and it didn't come to pass, and that makes him not a prophet?
I would say this is a time where Joseph was young, and he was living foolishly, and he was probably being more of an antagonist than he was of a man.
Our father Yahasef a lot more respect than that.
Well, again, if that's the case, then so
we don't open our mouth in disrespect to the prophets.
So if that's the case,
they do.
If that's the case, okay, I understand what you're saying. I understand where you're coming from, 100%. If that's the case, then I need to see the 12 sons, the 11 sons. Wait. Hold on.
Like you don't like nobody talking bad about.
Okay, wait just a minute. Let me say this.
Fighting words you talking about. Wait a minute.
Let me say this. Okay, so
really.
All right. Let me say this then, and I'll leave it. I'll let you have it after this. If that's the case, then what I need to see is Joseph the father, not Joseph. Yeah, Joseph. Not Joseph. Israel the father, his mother, come and bow themselves to the earth to him, along with his 11 brothers. If I see that in the script,
all we need to see is that the scripture told us his brothers bowed down to him. That's all we need to see.
No, we don't see that. We don't see that.
Think about whether or not he said anything true. We don't need to
hold on, Jabril. Hold on.
I'm not injecting anything. This is what this says. Joseph said that. I mean, Jacob said that. Jacob is the one that said it. Jacob says, shall me and your mother and your brothers bow ourselves to the earth before you? Jacob said that. Hazakiyahu didn't say that. Jacob said it.
Well,
and what we see,
the point where Joseph says, yes, Dad, that's what I'm saying. Joseph doesn't even answer him. And it probably meant more like, well, Dad, I don't know what it means. But Jacob told him, don't tell your brothers about the dream. Well, he wouldn't have told him anyway.
He didn't say that. He told them first, and then he told his father. From what we just read in 36, there
are other narrations of the story. It says that Jacob warned him, don't tell your brothers.
I understand that, but I'm reading from the Torah, and according to Torah, he told Yaakov, and Yaakov, he told his brothers first,
And
and
that's
then
what
he
I'm saying.
told Yaakov.
You're using the books because that's all you got. And so you're using the books and you're using your logic. Well, shout out to you, wise young man. Oh, may the Most High bless you. Nobody knocking you for that. But we got other books. And guess what? Everybody who edited them, as much as we might want to think they were all on point the whole time through, we got some books that don't agree. And guess what? Somebody wasn't
Okay.
right at some point.
I,
And the fact
okay.
of the matter is that we don't even
I
need to
understand
go
that.
that far with it. Like,
I
all
understand
we
that.
got to do is bow down to the Most High and love the Most High, and we got to honor our father and our mother. And we're talking about
I understand that.
Joseph. We're going to allege that he lied? No, there's nowhere in the scripture that said that he lied, and nowhere that gives us any grace or room to open our mouth to say such an
I understand that exactly.
That's something that's a part of the
100%.
culture.
I understand that 100%. And if that is the case, and if that would be true, I would have to see the sun and the moon representing the mother and the father, and the 11 stars representing his brothers come and bow down themselves to the earth.
Blessed by the Most High and become the vizier or the governor of Egypt, and it saves the world because the whole world has to come to Egypt to get corn. And Joseph, the only reason it worked out, that's all we need to see is the Most High is making us a light to the nations. We don't need to see.
But he was a child when he said this. He was a child when he said this. He
He
was sold at 17. This was before he was sold.
You
so
never
he
had
was a child. So
like
we talking
that.
about
You don't know how difficult
Hey,
it might have been for him to.
brothers,
like,
brothers, check this out. Check this out. Let's get through this. Let's get through this chapter, and then we can discuss this a little bit further. All right.
All right.
Let's get through this chapter.
I agree. Let's continue. Yeah. I think we're at verse 7.
Khan. It's the book of
ahead,
Genesis, Bereshit, chapter 42, verse 7. And Yosef saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, Whence come ye? And they said, From the land of Canaan, to buy food. And Yosef knew his brethren, but they knew him not. And Yosef remembered the dreams which he dreamed of them, and said unto them, Ye are spies, to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. And they said unto him, Nay, my master, but to buy food are thy servants come. We are all one man's sons. We are true men. Thy servants are no spies. And he said unto them, Nay, but to see the nakedness of the land ye are come. And they said, Thy servants are 12 brethren, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. And behold, the youngest is this day with our father, and one is not. Speaking about Joseph.
And that one is Joseph, absolutely. The one that is not is Joseph. Because they don't know who they're talking to, because we'll see in just a moment. Continue.
Verse 14. And Joseph said unto them, That is it that I spake unto you, saying, Ye are spies. Hereby ye shall be proved. By the life of Pharaoh ye shall not go forth hence, except your youngest brother come hither. Send one of you, and let him fetch your brother, and ye shall be kept in prison, that your words may be proved, whether there be any truth in you, or else by the life of Pharaoh surely ye are spies. And he put them all together into ward 3 days. And Joseph said unto them the third day, This do, and live, for I fear the power. If ye be true men, let one of your brethren be bound in the house of your prison. Go ye, carry corn by the famine of your houses, but bring your youngest brother unto me. So shall your words be verified, and ye shall not die. And they did so. And they said one to another, We are verily guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the anguish of his soul. When he besought us, and we would not hear. Therefore is this distress come upon us. So,
so go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, before this point, we can't really read about any time where they were sorrowful about their actions
Mm-hmm.
upon selling him into bondage, man.
Right.
You know, this is the
Right.
first time that I remember reading it, you know.
Yeah. Con. They definitely are remorseful with what transpired with him, and they mentioned him as not, meaning he was dead. They was under the impression he had been killed, or you know, him being sold would be equivalent to, in that time frame, in 13 years, he got to be dead. You know, so never would they thought he would have rose to such a high stature that they talking to him and don't even know they talking to him. And we about to see why they don't realize that it's him.
God. Verse
Continue.
22. And Reuben answered them, saying, Spake I not unto you, saying, Do not sin against the child, and ye would not hear. Therefore, behold, also his blood is required. And they
Mm-hmm.
knew not that yourself understood them, for he spake unto them by an interpreter.
Mm-hmm.
And he turned
That's
himself. Salakia, go ahead.
I was gonna say that's why they didn't know that it was him. One, he looks different because he's aged. He's 13 years older. Two, he's in the garments of the Egyptians, and three, he's speaking to them by an interpreter. So he's speaking Egyptian, and the interpreter is speaking the Hebrew language to them.
God.
So he's going, you know, he's understanding back and forth. So go ahead.
Verse 24. And he turned himself about from them and wept and returned to them again and communed with them and took from them Simeon and bound him before their eyes. Then yourself commanded to fill their sacks with corn and to restore every man's money into his sack and to give them provisions for the way. And thus did he unto them. And they ladded their asses with the corn and departed thence. And as one of them opened his sack to give his ass provender in the end, he espied his money, for behold, it was in his sack's mouth. And he said unto them, Salakia, and he said unto his brethren, My money is restored, and lo, it is even in my sack. And their heart failed them, and they were afraid, saying one to another, What is this that the power hath done unto us?
Yeah. So you know, you go to buy something and you leave with your merchandise and your money is in that very thing, and they just dealt with him. He's a hard man. He put them in war for 3 days.
Right.
He kept them in locked up for 3 days, and then said, "Go get your younger brother and bring him to me." So he's dealing with them in a manner that they are not. You know, he's showing them he means business, basically.
God.
Yeah.
Verse
Continue.
29. And they came unto Jacob, their father, unto the land of Canaan, and told him all that befell unto them, saying, The man who is the master of the land spake roughly to us, and took us for spies of the country. And we said unto him, We are true men, we are no spies. We be 12 brethren, sons of our father. One is not, and the youngest is this day with our father in the land of Canaan. And the man, the master of the country, said unto us, Hereby shall I know that ye are true men. Leave one of your brethren here with me, and take food for the famine of your house of your households, and be gone. And bring your youngest brother unto me. Then shall I know that ye are no spies, but that ye are true men. So will I deliver you your brother, and ye shall traffic in the land. And it came to pass, as they emptied their sacks, that behold, every man's bundle of money was in his sack. And when both they and their father saw the bundles of money, they were afraid.
Hmm.
And Jacob, their father, said unto them, Me have ye bereaved of my children. Joseph is not, and Simeon is not, and ye will take Benjamin away? All these things are against me. And Reuben spake unto his father, saying, Slay my 2 sons, if I bring him not to thee. Deliver him into my hand, and I will bring him to thee again. And he said, My son shall not go down with you, For his brother is dead, and he is left alone. If mischief befall him by the way in which ye go, then shall ye bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to the grave.
Mm. So he's telling them there, like, if anything happened to my boy, I'm not gonna get over this one. You know, this is my last son for Raquel, and she's gone. And if anything happens to him, I will not get over it before I die. I'm already old, and I will not be made whole before that time. So this is very interesting. It's kind of a cliffhanger we're leaving off on here, but we've been on here a good long time. But yeah, let's go ahead and gather our final thoughts here on these past two chapters. So go ahead, Jabril, with final thoughts if you don't mind.
Oh man, man, forgive me. I just, I love these people so much. I love the Most High so much. My code of honor to them so much. Like David was with Saul. You couldn't get him to say a bad word about him. He took care of his family after he was gone. He did everything he could. And we're talking about the prophets. And so, it's like, I just come from a background of people that, quite frankly, don't play that. In some parts of the world, they'll kill you. They're desecrating the graves of our forefathers right now over in Israel. Christians, Jews, Muslims are desecrating the graves. And man, it puts me in tears. But I cry when I pray, man. And I mean, just spiritually, this stuff means a lot to me. When I tell you I've had a dream, man, look, man, I don't know if you've seen things described like the things these guys are talking about, but it's shaking and it's not easy to deal with. And if for any reason whatsoever, we've seen the Most High reveal revelations to our prophets that led to goodness, I mean, we can sum it up for that. Jehoshaphat was made after 13 years of prison. Jehoshaphat was made ruler of the world, which put us in a particular position. Each and every one of us. We educated the pharaohs. We don't say that without him. I don't know what he did wrong in his life. I'm sure he sinned. But you won't catch me talking about his sins loosely, especially when I don't got concrete facts. I mean, if it ain't literally stipulated in scripture, I'm not mentioning it. If it comes about the prophets, I mean, Abraham's mentioned as being walking and being perfect before the Most High. Nobody's perfect but the Most High. Nobody's good but the Most High. But Abraham, he didn't do everything right, but the Most High said he was perfect before him. Some describe him each and every time I get the chance. And I mean, just off honor, off GP. I don't know what we on. And I mean, spiritually. And I can tell you, man, not just the dreams, but when you pray to the Most High long enough and hard enough and it changes your life long enough, you see a different side of the spiritual domain, of the unseen. And it freaks you out. Because when Enoch was talking about what he's seen on that throne, who are we to speak of the Most High's ineffable face? But it was real. Whatever it was, and it's not exactly right in that book. I don't care how I put it in English. It's not exactly right. Whatever translation I got of the book of Enoch, of the versions, it's not exactly right. We don't got exactly right scriptures. I don't care which ones you're reading. They're not exactly right. You think that, it's because you haven't studied them long enough. And all due respect, my dear brothers. I just the other day neglected to send you another trait of the 131 changes of the Most High's name, which were deliberately made by the scribes. throughout history. I mean, it was a work in progress, and none of those scribes were perfect. Not only that, but the prophets accused them of not being perfect. We don't got perfect scriptures. That's why they disagree. Don't mean our traditions are untrue. Don't mean the Most High is not real. When you find the Most High, really, you don't gotta. We won't be so caught up and fussing about these scriptures because we be so obsessed with loving the Most High with all our heart and mind. We come together in prayer, following the traditions of these great men like Yahaseh. We'll be praying so much. And we'll have a knowledge of the Most High that, it really supersedes books. And you really get good behavior. Let me ask you something. Do you know that when you pray for your enemies, it gives you a certain type of personality? When you pray for your enemies every day, sternly, it makes you more likely to abide by the laws of any society in history than any other citizen in that particular environment. When you pray for your enemies, when you pray for your brother every time they wrong you, it just makes you nice. Nice people don't break laws.
Kind. Well, I appreciate that. I can Anaya, final thoughts if you don't mind.
Khan, just continuing the saga, you know what I mean, like of our ancestors' plight through this world and their relationship with the Most High. We see Patriarch yourself being in bondage, and the Most High still being with him, even in bondage,
Right.
and a very humble beginning for him. Going from prison to the penthouse, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really inspiring for us in these days as well.
Yeah.
But all praises to the Most High for the word that has gone forth today. I love you, brothers, and let's chop it up here after this call.
Kind. Yeah. So, it's been a great couple of chapters. I know we got into a lot more than what we intended. I wanted to do this in about an hour, and we are 2 hours and almost 2.5 hours into it.
Right.
But that's just how the Ruach works. Sometimes you get into the lesson, and it take you back a couple of chapters, take you forward maybe a couple of chapters, and even have you bring out some secular history. As thoughts come into your mind, and that's just the power of the Most High, able to bring information back to you. So, it's definitely a barakah, and I'm so thankful to be able to get back into this book and to go over this history, this our history, and I certainly, let me say as well, I certainly did not or do not mean any disrespect to the progenitor Yosef for his and what I deduce from the text. I never mean to be disrespectful by saying anything about anybody that I read in the scripture. It's just an astute observation from the studies that we've done through these words. So, but all praise to the Most High, and I lift up His name over any and all, and I'm just thankful to be able to get in here and to find whatever information that we're able to find. And I would never say that I'm 100% right. What I believe is from what I see, from what I read, and what I put together. But if anybody would see this video and have information in opposition to what I say, I would say by all means, please show me, because I desire the right information, even if it's not a salvation situation. I desire correct information. So that's me. That's my ruach and how I operate. And I'm thankful for the Most High for that as well. Thankful for my king coming on and get into the text with me. And just thankful to the Most High, most of all, for all things. This has been a marvelous week. This being the Sabbath of the week, and it's been fantastic. So I give all praise, honor, and great esteem to the Most High Power, Yahuwah, Bahashem, Yahushua, Hamashiach, and to the 12 tribes of Israel who are scattered to the four quarters of the earth. I say Shalom, Wabarukim, that is peace and blessings. And I cannot wait till the day that the Most High brings us back together, and we are once again 12 tribes, one family, one nation, under the Most High Power, once again, under one covenant. Until that time, Shalom, family.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.